Good Friday afternoon. I'm meteorologist Melissa Nord. Here's the latest on Tropical Depression 9. We also have Fiona, Gaston out in the open Atlantic, and two more systems that we're watching for potential development. But where our focus is really going to turn to over the weekend is Tropical Depression 9, which is out about 600 miles east-southeast of Jamaica right now. But this is going to become our next named storm of the Atlantic season. It will likely become Hermine sometime later on Friday. So currently has winds of 35 miles per hour, gusts of 45 miles per hour. Hurricane hunters have been out surveying this storm this morning, and we'll continue to get more data in. But I want to start off and show you the spaghetti models on this system. This is where all of our models right now are predicting the center of this storm goes. Remember, the center is just one point within that storm. Impacts from it can be felt hundreds of miles outside the center depending on the overall size of it. But spaghetti models take this through the weekend, through the Caribbean Sea, then eventually over Cuba, and the steering currents would take this up closer to Florida or the eastern Gulf of Mexico. So this is a storm to watch very closely, not just for potential impacts somewhere in South Georgia, but impacts in general for the southeastern coastline, as we don't know the final track of this system. Here's the official outlook from the Hurricane Center, becoming a tropical storm later today. The name again would be Hermine. Then over the weekend, moving through the Caribbean where there's some very warm water, so some gradual strengthening is likely, and eventually becoming a hurricane by early next week. You notice this passes over western Cuba, the general cone of uncertainty, and then becomes a major hurricane as it's nearing the coast of Florida. So I know the center of this line has it making a landfall by Wednesday morning somewhere near Fort Myers or so, but the cone of uncertainty, which is this whole cone, this is the entire area where that landfall could be, or where it could be Wednesday morning as a potential major hurricane. So this is a storm to watch very closely. Why is there the potential for it to become a major hurricane? Well, I want to overlay with the track the surface temperatures of the ocean and the Gulf and the Caribbean. Look at how warm the waters are. I mean, these are waters that are above 85 degrees Fahrenheit, some cases approaching closer to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. That's like a bath, and oceans are like steam engines, and they really get and feed off those warm ocean waters that are not just at the surface, but the warm ocean waters even below the surface. There's a lot of warm, deep warm ocean waters for it to move over, and that could potentially lead to more strengthening through the weekend and through next week as it makes its journey northward eventually. But that's the latest on what will become Hermine later today, a storm to watch very closely, and we'll continue monitoring potential impacts as we get into next week. Right now, we don't think, based on this track, that there will be any direct impacts to North Georgia, but I mean, a little shift towards the west side of that cone of uncertainty could mean different things for us in North Georgia than if it travels towards the eastern side of that cone of uncertainty. Also, we have Hurricane Fiona, which is pulling further away from Bermuda. And this is, again, now a Category 4 hurricane as of the 11 o'clock advisory, gust to 160, and this is about to really hammer the Canadian Maritimes. We're talking about the strongest storm on record for them. It's not just going to be the fact that this is a storm with high winds moving over these areas, but there will be a lot of rough wave action, storm surge as well. And there are hurricane warnings out in Nova Scotia and towards Prince John Edward Island as well, where they expect significant impacts. But general track of this storm, which may not be purely tropical in nature as it's making landfall, is that it is going to move northward, the general track, through the weekend. Here's Tropical Storm Gaston, also out in the Atlantic. This is impacting the Azores right now, and as we head into early next week, going to be a fish storm after that point, so don't expect any impacts. Also, we have two other areas we're watching out in the Atlantic, one of which has an 80% chance of development over the next 2 days, so that could become another tropical depression here soon. That's right off the coast of Africa. Another tropical wave cluster of thunderstorms out in the eastern Atlantic in the main development region. That has a 30% chance in the next 5 days. We'll go through those list of names. We've had Gaston. Hermine's the next name on the list. Ian, if that 80% chance of development kind of cluster of storms does become a named storm, Ian is the next name on the list.